Hello, viewers. Welcome to yet another very special episode of She Means Business with Nasscom Insights, where we engage in depth conversations with transformational, inspirational, and self driven women leaders from all walks of life, making it big in and with technology. Our guest today is Pallavi Katiyar, Global Chief Information Officer at Tech Mahindra. Pallavi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Pallavi has over 2 decades of experience working across some of the top of the pack technology companies from Hughes to Mindtree, Cognizant, Cyient, and now Techem. Across the board, she's held multiple IT leadership positions. She's worked on diverse global assignments, including mergers and divestitures, setting up of offshore development centers, multi-country programs, implementations, and global IT operations management, just to name a few. She's an IIT IIM alumnus, and of the many passion areas I'm sure she has, the two that we thought were very interesting are her focus on work and workforce productivity, as well as her passion on girl education and empowerment. Pallavi, it's wonderful to be interacting with you today. Thank you for being on Nasscom Insights. I'll start with my first question, and that is literally about you. Our viewers would love to know a little bit more about Pallavi Katiyar. What has led you on this tech-led journey? How have events, opportunities, some of the learnings in your life, role models that you might have encountered in life, how have they helped shape this journey? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Namita. I'm looking forward to the conversation. So you already covered a little bit about some of my passions and my education, but one of the things which probably was a foundational aspect of my journey, be it on the personal or the professional front, was the upbringing of my parents and the kind of values and ethics that my parents ensured that get kind of inculcated. So we came from a very middle class family, and no different from millions of other people in the country. But then my parents were very focused on ensuring that my sister and I get the best education possible, and they definitely had to stretch a little bit, but the whole focus and the importance of education was something that my parents kind of made me realize. And while at that point of time we probably took it for granted, but now as I reflect back, I realize how important that foundational element was in my personal as well as professional journey. And the other thing which they were very kind of very focused on is that life is full of challenges. No challenges is easy. It might look very difficult at that point of time, but a few years down the line you will feel that it was nothing. So just take it head on, do your best, and then leave the rest. So that was the tagline they always that somehow stayed with us and with both my sister and we kind of, it became so deeply ingrained in us that you will see a reflection of that in everything that we have done in our lives, especially in the kind of challenges we have faced on a professional journey, and how it has really helped in shaping my personal professional journey. So that is something that stays really with me, and as we converse more, I'll try and kind of bring in some examples of how some of those challenges came in and how did we deal with it, etc. Now, going back to my personal or to my career per se, so yes, I mean, I did my engineering from IIT, did my MBA from IIM, and then over the course of last 24 plus years, I played all kinds of roles. So I played a business consultant role, I played a role of a developer, then at some point a delivery manager, then yes, started taking up more leadership roles. But one thing which was very consistent in my 24 years of journey was the constant change and the willingness to experiment with new roles. And that really helped in shaping the current Pallavi, because the perspective became very diverse, and not every role or every change was easy. And in certain roles I did extremely well, certain roles I did just okay. But more importantly, what really stood with me was that some of these failures were not really failures. They taught you certain life lessons in terms of how you need to operate, what works well and what doesn't work well, and that is kind of reflects in the way I operate and all the way we deliver projects, and the way we take on new challenges as the technology world is evolving.
Wow, wonderful. Lots of takeaways from that, and I think you gave us and the viewers a lot of very, very basic but very foundational, fundamental, and absolutely crucial elements to remember. One, the foundations and the fundamentals that we are raised with, those don't go away ever in life, and those are the ones that keep us anchored, and those foundations actually help us become not only better human beings but also better leaders. And that it's not very different from an environment from where leaders arise. They arise from exactly where we are today. A lot of us are, but it's so inspirational to understand that you've just stuck on those fundamentals and forged ahead. The one other thing that you mentioned, which is adaptiveness, the ability to adapt to change, because change is the only constant. We will get to that and understand your views on how do we do that in today's environment. And the third thing that you mentioned, which is challenges are not going to go away ever in personal life as well as at work. All three things put together brings me to my next question, which is the current times we live in. As a CIO of Tech Mahindra, I'm sure this is the thing that keeps you worried and keeps you awake at night, which is the disruption that artificial intelligence is creating. It's not only changing how we do work, but what work is for the workforce, and how is the entire workforce construct, workplace, all of it changing. This is one particular technology probably, and you know this better than me, that's going to have a significant impact. How do you see some of the principles that you just laid down play out in this disruption? How would these help, and how are you seeing these, how are you applying these within your organization?
So you are absolutely right, Namita, and there's so much of buzz around AI and Gen AI and how it is going to disrupt the way we do things, and something that is going to touch every person in the world, right? It's no longer a technology which is just being embraced by the IT companies, but it is something that is actually going down to the grassroots level and changing the behaviors and changing the way people interact with and they do their day-to-day business, right? And that is the need of the hour, that as AI really starts touching everything we do, it is becoming very, you cannot just say that okay, this is another technology, it's another buzzword, and it will kind of go away after some time. It is here to stay. It is evolving. It definitely has to mature a bit more. So there is, to a certain extent, I do believe that there is a lot of hype around it, and the use cases where the AI would really be important and would be impactful, those are still evolving. It will mature. It is going to get defined in the due course of time. But yes, what we are seeing is that irrespective of industries, irrespective of the business, it is something that is touching everyone, and everyone is thinking about it, everyone is exploring it, and everyone is trying to find out what can they do differently using the AI and the Gen AI technologies that are becoming an integral part of our lives now. Now, from so being an ITS company, we are also constantly on this journey. We are trying to see how we can start delivering value to our customers, because our customers are on this journey of trying to figure out how they can inculcate and adopt AI in terms of their services, their solutions, which they give to their end consumers and customers. So we are also, since we are like an integral part of this journey of the customer transformation, we are also constantly exploring how we can start incorporating AI in different solution elements that we offer to our customers, and also how we leverage an AI internally within TechM to improve the productivity of the workforce. So with Gen AI, obviously there are a lot of Gen AI solutions, the Chat GPTs and the Copilots and the Geminis of the world, and we are obviously opening it up to our associates. Then we are also looking at how AI can help in improving the developer productivity, because now with a lot of solutions available, a lot of the repetitive tasks that the developers used to do, that is now available through some of these platforms. And then the third thing which we are very focused on is that as the whole tech landscape is evolving, how do we upskill and reskill our associates? That is, at least from an IT service company perspective, is very critical. While there is a lot of talk about the disruption and the fact that a lot of jobs will get replaced and etc., especially in the BPS kind of an industry, but I feel that what will happen is that the whole composition of skill set which all the organizations will have to have in future is going to differ. So yes, some of the repetitive, some of the jobs will get replaced, but at the same time there are new opportunities that are opening up in terms of new skills, and that is what we need to kind of focus on, that how do we really upskill our workforce to adopt those technologies so that they do not become redundant in this whole cycle. So that's what at least for me is where we really need to focus on. There are other concerns around observability, around the biases and many other challenges, the security and data privacy and a lot of other things that are there as in AI, Gen AI and other technologies. But it's a matter of time, right? I mean, I'm sure like any other new technology that hits a block, we will kind of iron out some of this, and in another year or so, it would be a very different, a very safe place for organizations to play with. So more importantly now is to how do we ensure that as these technologies become widely available, how we are ensuring that our workforce is ready to adopt it and to able to start delivering value to themselves as well as to the customers that they are working for.
Very interesting. And as you rightly mentioned, these are very, very dynamic times because the technology is also evolving. And I was just, wondering as you spoke that we kind of, with every transition, we very easily say this, that, leaders are supposed to guide, leaders should do this and drive that initiative. It has to be top-down mandates. But it's equally challenging for the leadership also to communicate the change, rally the organization around that change when that change itself is moving goalposts. If I may ask you to reflect on one or two major challenges that you face, not just because of AI, but because of the kind of transformations we need at the workplace, within the organization. There are multiple things happening, Pallavi, you would agree, at the same time. One is the tech, the other is the whole mix of generations that is coming into the play. All of this is creating, the perfect pot boiler. If you reflect on that, what are some of the most important challenges for you as a leader, and how are you resolving them?
So Namita, it's a interesting question, because I'm dealing with that generational gap challenge even on a personal front. So my daughter is 19 years and she's just joined college, and she has a very, very different take on life and perspective on life and what she wants out of life versus what say my husband or I have. So it's an interesting thing that But then, yeah, that personal experience is also helping me on the professional front, because a significant percentage of my team is really young kids who fresh out of college. Almost 30% of them are less than 3 years of experience, and it's and I get to learn a lot from them, because the way they look at technology and the way they adopt technology is very different from how we do. For them, they look at technology which is very use case based. I mean, how it is, they are looking more at the outcome, and that is how they start adopting technology. While at least traditionally, many of us used to go with the flow. So, for example, if there was a new technology coming on the in the market, we used to at least that was the human instinct, right? We used to jump on it, saying that, okay, this is a new technology, let's learn it, rather than really focusing on how this technology is going to help us solve any of the problems that we have, right? So, or what is the end goal that we have. So that's a very interesting shift I have seen, and something which I have also incorporated as part of my leadership journey and my transformation journey, because over time, what I have being a CIO and being a technology leader for last several years, I mean, I also had that natural instinct to just learn new technologies and say, yes, I know 10 different things, and yes, I know the latest in the market. But over time, my focus has shifted, and it has become more about what is the business problem we are trying to solve, and then figure out whether it's a new technology or it's something which is already existing that was going to help us solve. So that is something that I've been very focused on, and it kind of, every transformation, the journey that at least I've driven in the last 10-12 years has been driven on this principle, that what is the business problem we are trying to solve, rather than first getting a technology and then figuring out how to use that to solve our business problem. So.
Right. Very interesting. Pallavi, you mentioned something very, very unique, which is today's generation is actually a lot more outcome focused. And they're squarely driven around problem solving, which is something we keep saying, right? We keep saying that in addition to your technical skills, you need to be able to have problem solving, critical thinking, all of those things. And guess what? This generation kind of understands it. So it makes for a very interesting mix. I'm sure you'll agree, because I'm getting a lot of optimism from you around this. Generations, yes, we have it, but we've always had multiple generations. It's not a problem. It's a challenge for us to understand what different generations bring. And as a leader, you would want to get the best out of every generation, put that together, and ultimately deliver the best of organizational productivity or work satisfaction and all the metrics that you would do. But help me understand this also. As a leader, where do you see the challenge, or if I would say the real opportunity when working with multi-generational teams? How do you do that? Give us a couple of examples, if you may.
So yes, I mean, that is a challenge that every industry is facing, right? And including myself. I mean, where we have people who have 30 plus years of experience, and I have people who have just 3 months of experience or 3 days of experience, right? And there is so much of a different mindset in terms of what you want to achieve out of life, and what you want to achieve out of a certain project, and how you want to approach it, and what is priority to your point, right? I mean, and it's a good problem to have now, unlike our generation, which probably came for a little more humble background. We had that we had to kind of establish ourselves, and we used to think hard work is the solution to ensure that we achieve what in life. However, the current generation is more, as you rightly said, is more outcome focused. So they do not believe that spending 16 hours on for some project on a regular basis is going to lead them to a great life. They believe in a work-life balance, but they also believe that the 9 hours that they spend, they are actually dealing with something more interesting, and they get very easily bored by repetitive tasks, and they another thing that we are seeing is that they constantly are asking for something more challenging and more change. Unlike say some of the more senior people who are pretty okay with the norm, with the BAU, and that's a very difficult thing, that balance that we are struggling with as an organization, because the slightly more experienced team members, they are kind of, they understand the importance of BAU as well, and they are finding it difficult to keep the newer generation engaged, because the BAU tends to become repetitive. So to kind of sort this problem now, what we have done is that we have come up with some concepts, at least within my team. So like so while we have said that there is your day job, or a BAU job, for example, which you have to do, but there is no need for you to just stay restricted to what you are supposed to do. Instead, what we are doing is that we have started carving out smaller projects which are more interesting, which are more research oriented, where you have to go around and play with new technologies. And we're saying, okay, we post that in a central forum that way, and we are asking associates to or team members to just go and kind of a bid for it and say, okay, go, if you are able to solve it, great. So we are offering that kind of a flexibility to the teams to now go beyond their regular scope of work and the technology and play around with something, and that is helping in keeping them excited and engaged. Otherwise it is kind of becoming a little challenging for us to, especially the younger generation, to kind of continue on the same project for very long, because they are looking for something more exciting.
Absolutely. And that's probably a fantastic way of ensuring continuous learning. It does not need to be learning the way we used to learn, structured courses and pathways, and you get a certification and then you flaunt it out. And I think today's generation just wants their hands dirty. And that's exactly the way to work with them.
Yeah, and this is what, and just building on it. So we did open up. So for last 2 years, I was pushing my team to go for more of these structured courses. We have a very good learning management system. We have tie-ups with multiple universities, but we were not seeing too much of uptick in, at least I can talk about my team, in terms of people going for these certifications and for these exams and these structured courses. And maybe it's just, as you rightly said, right? This generation thinks different, or the younger generation thinks differently. But we are seeing with a very different workforce now, as we really started experimenting with this model, where we have started having smaller projects, and we are opening it up to people, and then people are just going ahead and bringing in new technologies, new ideas, which for me, without a structured training, would have probably been difficult to deliver, but they're able to deliver. So you're absolutely right.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think you hit upon something very interesting. These are times when the entire organization just unlearns and relearns.
Yeah.
It's not that people who are coming in new are the only ones who have to do that. Leaders with long-standing expertise probably have to equally do that. Just change the way they work with other people. Wonderful thoughts on that. I know, Pallavi, I'm sure this question comes almost always to you, which is, you are a woman leader. We need to see more women leaders in our industry and overall, as an economic opportunity worldwide, to have a better world, to have more conscious efforts going on. As they say, women are more empathetic leaders. All of that is true. But, your very, very unbiased views on what's stopping women from taking that leap from, while they enter in good numbers, they are probably falling precipitously in terms of their rise. Those who do, like yourselves, are fantastic examples. But what can we do to change this? How do we get more women leaders? And then we stop thinking about women leaders as a topic. We think about leaders, because men are equally capable of leading. It shouldn't be that it's more about women or men, but we see a significant drop. How do we change that for women till we come to an equitable position? not in terms of proportions, but in terms of capabilities and merit.
So Namita, I will kind of try and draw some parallels from my own life, right, or my own personal experiences, because but one thing, at least this is my observation, and I know this will not go well with a lot of people, but I feel that somewhere as women, we come with some preconceived biases that we have to take care of a lot of our domestic responsibilities. We have to take care of the kids. We have to take care of cooking, and we have to be very good at it. Okay. However, I feel that is where the problem is. That it's okay. I mean, you have to take care of some of these responsibilities, but you don't have to be good at it. And you have to set that expectation with your family. Most of I have seen that if you're vocal about it, of what you can do and what you cannot do, your family will come forward and support. But we have to speak up for ourselves. I think women are not speaking up for themselves, just because the way we are the kind of values and the ethos we have been taught from our very childhood. We hesitate in saying that, okay, today I will not cook, or let's get frozen vegetables from market, or whatever. So this is some bad examples, but that is what I feel, that somewhere the women need to fight for themselves, which they are not doing enough, and they expect that somebody else will come and give them some gyan of how they have to kind of come off it, but they have to solve this for themselves. Another very thing, and I'll again, as I said, I'm just drawing some parallels from my own personal experience. I'm also seeing that our counterparts, our spouses, and in this case the male fraternity, they are very open-minded. Because I think they also get a sense of pride when they see their wives and their sisters and their mothers doing exceptionally well in the career world, right? But again, they have not been naturally been told that they are supposed to help out with a lot of the domestic responsibilities. But if you talk to them, they will be more than willing to support you. So that I think that is something. Because I've seen, I draw comparisons between my father-in-law, my husband, and my brother, and all those, and I'm seeing that natural shift that is happening in the society.
Very interesting, very interesting. I think if I could sum up what you said, it's that women don't ask enough.
They don't,
and if they ask, they'll get all the support they need.
Yeah. Because I am no different. I kind of, everyone has the same challenges. I had very similar challenges, but touch wood, I did ask. I was a little vocal about it, and my family actually rallied behind me and made that happen. And I am very bad at cooking, and nobody expects me to cook. But yeah, when the need arises, they eat whatever I cook. So it's just that expectation setting, right? So. And touch wood, another good thing is happening, that earlier there was so much of dependency on everything needs to be done at home, but now the ecosystem is kind of coming to the rescue, where you have the Swiggies and the Zomatos, and you have cloud kitchens, and you have all kinds of domestic help available. So if you, as women, I think it's okay to go and start using these services, because the more better you do at the workforce, the more self-sufficient you will become. You'll be able to pay for a lot of these services, right? So right. It's a chicken and egg story. If you do not do enough on the workplace, obviously you will be limited in terms of how much you're earning, and hence you will not be able to afford some of these services.
Absolutely. I think fantastically put that the mindset shift begins with women themselves, and women have to be in control of a lot of what their life journey becomes. I know we've covered a diversity of topics, but because this is a lot about your leadership journey, I wanted to know from you any one specific event or opportunity that became very pivotal in your life, and that kind of gave you the direction that you are in today. Obviously a lot of elements around the upbringing and everything, but anything that just literally changed the course of life? Was there something like that that you would like to share? And how did you draw inspiration from it?
So again, it goes back to the upbringing part of it. But as I was saying, I was very, very open to change throughout, and I did not let a lot of the failures affect me. So it's not that there were no failures in the journey, but there was one specific incident which happened, and it happened very early in my career, and I'm thankful it happened at that point of time. Though at that point of time, it felt as if life had kind of it's over for me from a career standpoint, but thankfully I came out of it, and it was my second job, and I had taken up a role which personally I don't think I was cut out for or I was not ready for at that point of time. But still, I took it, and unfortunately, I did not fare very well. There was a big expectation mismatch between what, say, my senior wanted and what I was able to deliver. I had my own limitations, and somewhere typically all these organizations have this year-end appraisal cycle where they rate you on parameters, and then they give you a final rating. So I got one of the worst ratings possible, which in many companies and for many people is like the end of your career. However, I kind of took it at that point. I was very, very disappointed. I was very dejected. I like anyone else, I felt now my career is over, etc. But then I reflected back on it, and I realized that there was a reason why I got that rating, because I was actually not able to deliver for various reasons. As I said, part of it was a skill set, part of it was a maturity, part of it was my own interest in that role, right? And a lot of other factors were there which possibly contributed to it. And I kind of then again came out of it, and now that I reflect, sometimes you also start kind of really start doubting your own self-worth and your capability, right? Thankfully I was able to come out of it quickly, but it was a life lesson for me, that I became very conscious of what I will be able to deliver, what is something which is core to me, right? If you tell me to go and do marketing role, I will never ever do, because I know it doesn't come naturally to me. I can stretch, I will do it, but then it is not something I'll enjoy. So it's very important to constantly look for change, be curious, constantly learn, take on stretch assignments, but also know what your limitations are and play in that thing, so that you feel good about finally what you are doing, and you are able to add value to the organizations and to the people who trust you.
Thank you, Pallavi, for going back and kind of remembering that and sharing with us, because I think one very, very crucial lesson for me, that it's not that you will always succeed, and it's not that a role will always be cut out exactly the way you want. So I think a very crucial takeaway for our viewers, that impediments do come, but the most important thing is to rise from that, reflect on what went well, how did we play, how did one play, and did one play to the strengths, did one actually give up too early, and were there scenarios where we could not have compromised, and move on with those learnings and find something that is more apt. Thanks a lot for sharing that. I think that's going to be one of the most important takeaways from our conversation today on how to look at our career journeys, and maybe even life journeys for that matter.
Yeah, it is for me also. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it is a career, but I just feel that there will be enough setbacks in our life. It's important that we don't start doubting ourselves, and we should have that faith in our own capability and understanding of our self-worth in terms of what our strengths are, especially, and weaknesses. Right. You have to the reason that the world is so diverse is because there are so many skills, there are so many things that everyone has to contribute, right? So it's a whole ecosystem which comes together, and nobody can be that one person who will solve everything in the world. So each one of us has a role to play, and understand what is that role that you are cut out for.
Fantastic. And what a great way to end this question, because that takes me to our final question, which is a little bit of outlook from today's CIO of TechM to the next 2-3 years of how you want TechM to shape out.
So TechM is truly on a transformational journey. We have we are more than a $6 billion company, and we really aspire to become a $10 billion organization in the next few years. So there's a lot of work that we need to do, both internally as well as externally, be it in terms of the kind of work or the value we're delivering to customers, or how we are transforming internally also, right? So I feel that my organization, the CIO organization, we call it as a CIO organization, has a big role to play, because the way we are transforming our internal processes and we are enabling some of those processes will have a direct impact in our time to market, in our ability to service the customers better, in our ability to showcase how we have done things differently and how the customers can learn from it, right? And our ability to deliver more with less. So, and also to ensure that while we are doing all this, we are very cost efficient organization. So there are like a lot of things that we have to balance out as an internal organization, where there's an expectation for agility, speed, etc., but also cost is a big consideration, and security is another one, right? Because we are as an organization having access, or we are custodians of very sensitive data for hundreds of customers. So we have to ensure that we are very secure and our customers' data stay secure. So a lot of these things have to balance out. And in the next, we continue to focus on enabling all this for TechM, as we are targeting that growth, be it in terms of revenue, in terms of the margin improvement, and in terms of becoming one of the best companies in the world to work for.
Absolutely. Fantastic to understand that, and all the power to you. Pallavi, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. It was a fantastic heart-to-heart conversation. Look forward for more engagements. Viewers, I'm sure lots of takeaways at a personal level from a leadership perspective, and how do we need to work better together. Till the next episode, stay tuned. We'll come up with more. Thank you so much for watching.
It was a pleasure interacting with you, Namita. Love
Thank
the
you.
conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.